Hey Morgan, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm Elena Getzenberg with the Charlotte Observer. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as
Um,
well.
I guess for you, just to start, what made the Panthers seem like the right fit? Were you choosing between teams? What felt like a good fit for you in Carolina?
Honestly, just talking to the coaches, having a good talk with the Coach Snow and Coach Oakham, kind of seeing what their vision was, using me to help this team move forward and how they could use me, and then seeing how young and talented the team, and especially the defense is, just kind of being a part of that and being able to help anywhere I can, kind of made the decision pretty easy.
All right, next we'll have a question from Jonathan Alexander.
Hey, Morgan, Jonathan Alexander, Short Observer. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I'm curious, how were you told you'd be utilized, and where do you usually feel most comfortable at what positions?
Honestly, they said they'd love to have me rush, from anywhere along the front, just because that is something that I was did well with the Rams was position flexibility, being able to kind of bounce around and just being able to take advantage of that. And we didn't get into too much specifics, just kind of, hey, using the skill set of being able to play anywhere across the front, just to help the team move forward.
All right, next we'll have a question from David Newton, followed by Mike Solarte.
Hey, Morgan, good to have you in Charlotte here. David Newton with ESPN.com. I'm wondering, how did having some elite guys like Aaron Donald next to you help your career and help you become a better pass rusher? And to follow on that is what do you see in, Derek beside you now that you're going to have any comparisons to him and anybody you play with?
Honestly, having a guy like AD and I was fortunate enough to be around AD and Rob Quinn and just elite rushers, as well as elite players, like Michael Brockers, that taught me how to be a pro, as well as helped improve my technique. The best thing about guys like that is their willingness to help and impart any of their knowledge that they have to you, and being able to come to them with questions, and then also them holding such a high standard really helped improve work ethic, and how I viewed, like, how did I do today? And then I'd look at it and compare to AD and go to AD and be like, hey, give me an honest answer, and then that really helped, as well as just on the field. Those guys command a lot of attention, and so it helps put you in a position to win. And as far as young guys, watching a guy like Derek Brown play, he's explosive, he's violent, he's a guy that can cause a lot of havoc. So just watching a guy like him and makes me excited to be able to play next to him, and be able to play off of him, and help raise what he already does really well.
Hey, Morgan, Mike Solarte with Spectrum News 1 here in Charlotte. Good to virtually meet you. Look forward
Nice to meet you.
an in-person greeting at some point. Kind of going off of that, you're not an old guy by any stretch, but based on the youth on this defensive front with guys like Brown and Gross Matos and that sort of thing, do you feel like you have kind of a duty to pass along your wisdom that you've picked up and also kind of gleaned from guys like Aaron Donald and so on to kind of elevate that group?
I think that's just a duty as a professional in this business. It's a tough business, and when you're kind of in the role where you've been in the business a couple of years and you've been fortunate enough to be around guys who are great leaders and great players, when it's your turn to give back to younger guys, especially younger talented guys like this group has, anything I can do to help them take a step forward, even though they're already super talented, very special young players. Just to help them, take one more little step in the right direction, to take them from special to elite, and just kind of help them navigate the business and navigate being a professional, and just playing the game.
And what do you know about those guys that you'll be lining up with?
I can tell you they're super talented. Just watching them and how young they are, and they're explosive, they're fast, and they definitely bring a lot of good stuff to the game.
Next, we'll have a question from Joe Person, followed by Vincent Richardson.
Hey, Morgan, Joe Person here at The Athletic. Good to see you. Your sack numbers and production really kind of spiked last year. What was the difference, and why such a nice bump up in productivity?
Honestly, first off, it's just having great coaching and great, teammates around me. You can't play this game without the 10 other guys on the field. And then, just opportunities and repetition, getting those opportunities and getting put in good situations to win one-on-ones and win these rushes really helped out. And then, just like I say, having great teammates, really makes it a lot easier to play the game when you got 10 other guys doing their job at a high level.
And then do you have any connections to the Panthers, either on the roster, coaching staff, or what have you?
I really don't. It's kind of whole fresh new start for me. Actually, no, that is a lie. Clay was with us with the Rams last year during training camp. So actually, I do. He was around. I got to see him for a little bit, and I actually did see him when I was in the facility last week, which is pretty cool.
He was kind of the star, one of them on Hard Knocks. Did you get a good run on that?
Nah, hey, he was definitely the star on it. They stayed away from the D line because we were kind of crazy, so they tried to stay away from us as much as they could.
Hey Morgan, it's Vincent from the Riot Report. You talked about being able to rush from like different points across the line. Does your approach have to be different at different spots, or do you just have it's the same game wherever you line up?
It definitely has to be different. When you're going against tackles versus guards, even versus the center, guys set different. They have different body types, different different ways that they try to attack you. So I mean rushing anyone, not just positionally, is different. So it's really timing's different. How fast you got to get there is different. Where help's coming from is different. So you kind of have to know when are things going to happen, where they're going to happen from, and you just have to prepare different.
Next, we'll have a question from Elena Getzenberg.
You kind of mentioned just now how this was a fresh start for you. Is there something exciting about that? Like, how are you kind of approaching this?
Oh, I'm super excited about it. I've made great friends out in LA, guys that will be with me for the rest of my life. But, I'm super excited to be a part of an organization that's going in the right direction, and such a young organization. And, just to be a part of it and help. And it's, I grew up a military kid, so moving around isn't anything, scary to me. And it's super exciting just to play in a different city with different fans and try to make an impact.
Joe Person.
Morgan, playing different spots like you've referred to, do you kind of, what's your ideal weight for that? I mean, there was a guy here last year, F.A. Obata, that wanted to gain weight so he could play more inside. How do you kind of view that as a guy that's multiple?
Honestly, I've been fortunate that I played a 300-pound man's position at about 265, 270 for the last couple of years. So, I think there is some merit to certain positions being weight, but I think if you play with good technique and good leverage, your weight doesn't necessarily matter as much. And, fortunately, everyone talks about AD, and he is definitely not, ideal weight for an NFL 3 technique. And watching a guy like him be as ultra successful as he was is kind of, helped me, change my mindset and, be able to be like, hey, play it what you're comfortable with, where you can just play with great technique and great leverage and try to win your reps.
Next, we have David Newton.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, a little different. I know with the shooting they had in Colorado and your ties to the state, any thoughts on what's going on back there? Your family, how you've been impacted by stuff like that?
You hate to see, it's an absolute tragedy, something like that to happen, back home. And, my thoughts and prayers and heart goes out to everyone back home that was affected by it. And, it's just an awful thing.
So do we have any additional questions for Morgan?
Yeah, I'll ask one more, Bruce. Morgan, I think you mentioned kind of military and moving around a lot. What was, your family's background, and how many stops did you have?
My dad was in the Army forever, and my stepdad was also in the military, or in the Army. So we moved around. I think we did. I'm trying to count. It wasn't as many as a lot of my friends, but we did a good amount. We did Arizona, Germany, Colorado, Virginia, back to Colorado. And then that was really it as far as the military stint.